let's go ahead and get into the very first topic of the podcast. And let's talk a little bit first about the reaction to Andy Ruiz Jr. and Luis Ortiz. And we are coming off the heels of a pretty okay heavyweight bout, which saw Andy Ruiz end up winning a unanimous decision over Luis King Kong Ortiz. Now, the judges last night scored the bout 113-112, and then two other judges had a 114-111 for Andy Ruiz. Now, the intriguing part of that is that it was a very dicey fight outside of the 3 knockdowns that Andy Ruiz got on King Kong Ortiz. So even when you look at those scorecards, it kind of shows that even though Andy Ruiz got the W, it wasn't a dominating performance outside of him doing what he needed to do and hurting King Kong on 3 occasions. So, Q, tell me right quick, man, before we get into the next steps of Andy Ruiz in his career, but tell me, bro, what's your reaction to Andy Ruiz versus Luis Ortiz?
Honestly, brother, I wasn't surprised about that. You feel me? Knowing Luis Ortiz, they were saying he's 43 years old. With his age,
Right.
I just felt like I felt like he'll be able to. My prediction was he'll be able to weather some storms and ultimately possibly stop Andy Ruiz, but it wasn't there for him like that. He was the one to be hurt more so. I thought he boxed well, fought behind the jab. But he got hurt early, got dropped, got hit with a well, I don't know, the first time was an overhand or something. He got caught.
Yeah, right to the top of the head, to the temple. Yep.
And then I know he got caught with a body shot that looked like it hurt him. But at the end of the day, shout out to Andy Ruiz, man. Shout out to the Destroyer, and shout out to Luis King Kong Ortiz for a great fight. And I'm thinking it might be Wilder Ortiz next. I mean, Ruiz, Andy Ruiz Jr. next. They both on PBC. That seems like it'll make sense. After the Wilder fight in October, but good fight, and not a great fight, but a good fight. I was a little disappointed because I was pulling for King Kong. Hope he was gonna be able to beat on his chest one more time, but either way it go, that's what happened. And I wasn't that impressed with Ruiz either, to be honest.
Right.
I just felt like he should have been able to win against Ortiz at this stage in his career. I was just pulling for Ortiz. What you got, brother?
Hey, man, you know what? I personally feel like this was not the best performance by Andy Ruiz Jr. Even though he got the victory, I'm going to be real honest, bro. The reality of this fight, as I see it as a fan who observed the fight, is that if Luis King Kong Ortiz isn't 43 years old,
he was smashed him.
He probably wins this bout, because the real reality is some of the knockdowns that we saw happen with King Kong Ortiz. The reality is, man, at 43 years of age, bro, you're not just going to take those shots like that and stand up. Like, you're not going to take a shot to the top of your head near the temple area and just stand up the shots like that at 43 years old with all of that wear and tear. So it's interesting because outside of those knockdowns, it was a very dicey fight back and forth, where King Kong Ortiz, like he did with Wilder and like he's done with a lot of his previous opponents, with him being out of that southpaw stance, bro, he is a very tricky fighter to figure out. And we saw in spots where, bro, the crowd was even booing. There were spots in the fight where we literally heard the crowd booing because there was not enough action to their liking. And a lot of that was coming because King Kong Ortiz is such a savvy southpaw that Andy Ruiz knew Andy Ruiz knew he had to think, and he couldn't just run in there on King Kong Ortiz. But I will say this though, man, I would love to see King Kong retire though, because I'm not gonna lie, bro. At 43, he still has the skill. He really still has the skill, but at this point, he is pretty much at an age where he can't take those punches anymore. The reality is that King Kong Ortiz might be able to outbox you, but at 43 years old, man, I can't lie. I don't want to see him taking any more devastating punches. It actually hurt me, bro, to see his wife and his kids turning away as the bout was going on, because you can tell at this point, bro, they want him to retire. right? They know he's got the skill, they know he's got the heart, but they want him to retire. The saddest part, man, and this is why, you know, a lot of fighters, man, you got to do, I got to salute King Kong Ortiz, because what a lot of people forget about is that he defected from Cuba in 2010. So he was finally able to get over here in 2010, bro, and get away from Cuba so that he could really start his heavyweight career. And so a lot of people understand that a fighter like him didn't really get started until 30, 31 years of age, bro. And so that's late in the game to really try to come over to America and get your name out there. So he did with the best he could, you know, with his career. But with Andy Ruiz, bro, I'm going to be honest, man. Hey, man, a lot of people looking at Andy a little sideways, man, because Andy, we had the Areola fight, bro, where Andy was iffy against Areola, and it was kind of lackluster, even though he got the victory. And we saw the same thing against Luis King Kong Ortiz, where Andy, he didn't fight horrible, but it was not necessarily a dominating performance that you would want to see against a 43-year-old fighter. So nevertheless, man, we'll see what Andy does, because there's also been a lot of talk about, is he too heavy? Is he not too heavy? But who knows? He looked like he was in shape, but a lot of people are saying that they still would like to see Andy Ruiz drop a little bit more weight, even though he was relatively in shape. But let me throw this question